Mr. Game Boy, you're already on. Nice job. Hold on. Button up real quick. Okay. Welcome to Enhide. Today is Friday. It's the 15th. What's up, Heavenly Breath? Good morning, man. Mr. Game Boy, also, that sounds awesome. Yeah, follow Game Boy was great. Okay, I think we're good to go. Pardon me, brother. Appreciate that. Game Boy, are you doing it all the way through? Like you're saying your Joshua's and you're reading through the whole Old Testament, or what? Your game's Grump? Sorry. I'll call you Grump from now on. That sounds good. Alright, let's roll. Alright. Excited. Today we're going through 2 Samuel chapter 8. Morning, Miguel. Welcome in. I got a good full cup of coffee here. All right. Did he just not wipe me out with one hit? That's insane. So, what do you do after all the promises come true? That's the question that 2 Samuel 8 is kind of asking. David has become king. The kingdom is fully united, and God has made covenant promises over his life. And now, victory starts happening everywhere, which is beautiful to see. Enemy nations are falling, the borders are expanding, power is increasing, and wealth grows. But this chapter isn't really necessarily about military brilliance. One phrase keeps repeating over and over again, and that is that the Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. And that really changes the whole perspective, because success is a dangerous way of making people think they did it alone, building pride. And 2 Samuel 8 reminds us that blessing without dependence is destructive, because it is our pride. What kind of energy drink are you drinking, Heavenly Breath? Thanks for following, Miguel. Do I have to wipe this guy out every time I go to fight him? Nice. Okay. Here, excuse me. Oh, man. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. I'm standing on the backside over here. 1 second. Morning, Brian. Dragon Fruit Celsius. Somebody was telling me that, like, because I generally enjoy it, Celsius. Someone was trying to tell me that was, like, the worst possible energy drink you could drink. So, that's not me saying that, by the way. I'm not against them. That's what I've heard. All right, before we get into it, we're going through the proverb of the day and our gratitude. If you'd like to join me in that, you're welcome to. Proverb of the day, not even close. Okay, good. Proverbs 22, verse 2. The rich and poor meet together. The Lord is maker of them all. And with Christ, we're all brought to the same level, which is very, very cool. Appreciate it. Excited. All right, gratitude for the day. Yesterday, I got to go to the Air Force Base. Oh, I'm poisoned. This is poison water. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. 1 second. Why am I slow rolling? Am I stuck in the... What's up, Erich Von Erich? Good morning. So I got to go to the Air Force Base and check that out. That was cool. I also got to literally get on a B-1 bomber, which was kind of cool. I'm not like a huge plane person, but it was still kind of cool. Hey, Agent Iron, thanks for the heart meat, man. I appreciate it. All right, we are going to lock in, though. We're not going to die to that guy anymore. Don't worry. We're going to do it flawlessly this time. Did I miss something over here? Okay, we're good. We're good. So that's my one. My second is I actually graduated from a... Yeah, watch this. scroll. I should start hitting the button to go send it back up, so I stop having to do this over and over again. I graduated from my leadership institute that I was a part of yesterday evening, and yeah, I got all dressed. Oh, okay. What? How is that even possible? Watch this. There you go. Gave you one. So now I'm officially a leader, apparently. But we got to get all dressed up and go, and I got a cool plaque. Thanks, Grump. Appreciate it. All right, look at this. We'll send that back up so we don't have to deal with that again. And then third, my sister came and watched our kids so that my wife and I could go to that thing. Not today. Nope. Hold on. Oh, I forgot that this is poison. Okay, let's do this. Let's run over here. Okay. Everyone's going through trees and dropping through ceilings of stuff. That's not making any sense. Anyway, my sister's awesome, and I'm very, very grateful for her. She's got 4 kids herself, and so she had like 8 total children to watch. She did great. And her husband came to it a little bit later and helped, so he's awesome as well. All right, 2 Samuel recap up to this point. 2 Samuel is the direct follow-through of 1 Samuel. My daughter's going on a field trip today, so I'm grateful for that. That's awesome. That's very cool. My kids are homeschooled, but they have co-op that they go to once a week. They do school with a whole bunch of other kids, and this is like the second to last week of that, so we're about to head into the summer season, which would be cool. All right. 2 Samuel begins directly after 1 Samuel. Remember, these are the same book, broken usually into 2 different scrolls because of the size of the massive book that it is. Send that back up. There you go. And it begins right after Saul's death with David mourning rather than celebrating Saul's death. Ethan, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Oh, I forgot him and standing in toxic stuff. 1 second. We're going to kill this guy real quick, and then we'll... He does so much damage. It's insane. It's crazy. Butt Muncher, thank you for following. I appreciate it, man. Over several chapters, Israel moved through civil conflict as David slowly rose to power. Thanks for the rose as well, man. So he dealt with, remember, Ishbosheth was Saul's son who tried to take authority. The rest of Israel and then Judah followed him. Thanks for the heart me as well. And they essentially rejected the call that God had given, even though it becomes clear later on they very well knew that God had called David to be king over them. And eventually, after some really sad stuff, all Israel does unite under David. Jerusalem becomes the capital. David goes and captures it from the Jebusites, and David establishes his kingdom. In chapter 6, the Ark of the Covenant was brought into Jerusalem, showing both the joy and the holiness of God's presence. And in chapter 7, that's kind of the major turning point. David wants to build God a house, but instead, God promises to build David a house through his lineage. And so he provides the covenant, as he always does. God is the one who brings covenant. Mankind does not bring a covenant to God or draw God to himself. Was there a middle level there? Hold on. I think there's a spot right up here. I gotta go back up. Look at this. Hey. Oh, well. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Oh, there's a way this way. We can get down. We're good. We should just throw some, here's what we should do. I need to learn different pyromancies, because this is sad how few that I can learn at once. We'll throw some fire bombs at the guy. We can reach him. drop off this, though. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. All right. Sorry. So God establishes David's house forever rather than David trying to establish a house for God. But he does promise that David's children will build a house for him. Now in chapter 8, we're going to see the kingdom expand as God gives David military victories and establishes Israel securely. So that's what I'm looking forward to. 2 Samuel chapter 8. Grump, if you want to open up your Bible, we're going to start in verse 1. Usually that's where I start. I find that to be an effective starting point. Okay, hold on. Well, he wanders far away. We're just going to allow ourselves to be toxic. Okay. Yes, Shadow. Black Firebomb. There's a lot of these guys over here. Run around this way. Whoops. Wrong button. Sorry. Here we go. Sexy Roach, thank you for following. Hold on. Not today. There we go. Alright, check this out. Oh, that does no damage. I don't think that's going to work for us. Okay. They go insane, man. They go insane. That's incredible. All right. After David defeated the Philistines, I think you made it angry. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Alex. But welcome in, man. It's good to see you. After David defeated the After this, David defeated the Philistines and subdued them. This line is actually of massive importance. So the Philistines have been like the thorn in the side to Israel for so long now. In all of David's reign, they were the key enemy. They were someone who they would get in battle after battle after battle. Saul would essentially like fearfully fight them back, but never make solid progress toward any element of long-term success. And then in one line, after the covenant that God makes to David here, it says that after this, he both defeated them and subdued them. And David took Metheg Ammah out of the hand of the Philistines. This is likely another name for Gath, which is where Goliath is from. In First Chronicles, it references it as Gath. And so it's likely that's what this is. I just died again. Ethoi, thanks for following, man. All right, we probably need to work through how we kill these guys and just do it. I figured this is probably the best weapon for them as well, since they're so weak to fire. So we see that right after his covenant that God makes with him, God brings him actual victory over these people that they've only had partial victory from over and over and over again, and have consistently had to fight nonstop. And now he both not only conquers them but subdues them, and he takes their key city out of their hands. And so we see that the kingdom that God has established is expanding with David as ruler and king, which is beautiful and cool. I love it. It's awesome. And then it says he defeated Moab and he measured them. This is something like I'm gonna have to pause here too. This is where you get TJ's like, were they the ones that had Goliath? Yes, yeah. So you changed your name, Grump. Good job. Wow. Way to like put the immediate effort in. I like it. Yeah, so they were the ones that had Goliath, as well as Goliath's brothers, which we're actually going to see some of. Okay, wrap around. Nope. Okay, hold on. How often can you proc this? Okay, you can't do it. And it's that easy. That's it. I like the fact that it's Bible study and gaming. Nice. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Okay. So we just need to get that to go off and then dodge a couple times and then do it again. There's a lot of guys over here, man. Will you not see me if I just quietly run across this? Cool. We're good. So the reason this part's interesting, so it says that he defeats Moab and measured them with a line, making them lie down in on the ground. 2 lines he measured to be put to death, and 1 line to be spared. And the Moabites, they become servants to David and brought him tribute. Seems like this guy notices that I'm over here. Okay. One second. One more. It's that easy. Why didn't God get rid of slavery if it isn't right to own another human being? I will say, user 247147, this is one of the most common questions that we get, and so it's clear that it's a core issue for a lot of people, or a core hang-up. I'm willing to answer it. What I usually find is that that's not the core of the... Yeah, ESV is good. I like ESV. That usually isn't the core of the concern with God. There's a lot of conversations around the difference between what slavery was versus what it is. A lot of people will say, why does God condone slavery, when I don't think that it's clear that he does throughout. He puts very hardcore limitations on slavery throughout the Bible to try and reduce its effect. And we see that over time, his desire is for people to be free. But it's hard for us to understand that. Thoughts on digital ID? Hi, Wishbone. I don't know. I'm an idiot who plays video games online and reads the Bible at the same time. I don't know enough about digital ID. What I do know is there's always going to be something that we place our concern upon. If it's not digital ID, something else will show up that will be concerning and fearful. I have a different perspective on, like, if like the mark of the beast is kind of the thought there. I do not think that digital ID is the mark of the beast. I think the mark of the beast is very specific. We probably just need to all go through Revelation together. That way, at least everyone can disagree with me on what Revelation means. So, but that'll be at a future time. Okay. So he defeats Moab. What's interesting here is he deals fairly cruelly with them, and there's a lot of questions as to why. I don't know if you guys know this, but David's, I think it's great-grandmother was Ruth. No. Was Ruth a Moabitess? Where's my mind at? Hold on. I'm stuck in my head now. Wait 1 second, I gotta find the spot that I had written these notes at. Is it Ruth that I'm thinking of? I think it's Ruth. I don't want to get this wrong. Okay. Yeah, so Ruth, remember, is from Moab. So it's interesting that this is the way that he treats the Moabites. The other thing is, like, right previously to this, in 1 Samuel 22, it says, David went from there to Mezpeh of Moab and said to the king of Moab, please let my father and my mother stay with you till I know what God will do for me. And he left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him all the time that David was in the stronghold. So what I find interesting is there's some commentators who believe that essentially there's a few things that might have happened. Either they lost peace, Moab mistreated David's parents, or something else happened that caused for Moab to be essentially seen as a pretty great enemy. And so when he defeats Moab, he makes them lie down on a line, and he essentially puts to death 2 of the lions and lets one of the lions be spared, and those Moabites become servants to David and bring him tribute. So there's a full conquering of the Moabites that is just interesting based upon David's history. But it's not ever made clear what exactly happened that lost peace between... I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. We're going to head up here. The fact I still don't kill these things as a kid is wild to me. Okay, well, maybe I do. Maybe I do. I'll be quiet. David also defeated Hadadezer, son of Rahab, king of Zobah, as he went to restore his power at the river Euphrates. Is there? Don't lie to me. No, there isn't. Okay, we're good. So what we see here is the kingdom expanding. What's this guy? All right, we're good. We did it. And we see this fulfillment. So I pulled up this chapter. We actually read some of this in when we were reading through David's ascent to kingship earlier. So in Genesis 15, we see that God makes the covenant with Abraham. Would I consider God to be a vengeful or forgiving God? Just a question when you have a moment, please. Yeah, let me finish reading this real quick, and then I'll answer that, because that's actually a very, very good question. Titanite chunk. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. It's just a shortcut. Very, very cool. So on that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, right? This is before he's even called Abraham, saying, to your offspring I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, and the land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Kedmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So what we see is once God has established his kingship under King David. Hey, Zeus, thanks for following, man. And then we see this direct expanse, right? After the covenant made with David, we see this continuing fulfillment of the covenant with Abraham through David for the sake of his people. And so we see that he defeats this. He restores power over the river Euphrates, right? One of the exact lines of promise that God gave to Abram back in the day. And the people up to this point had failed to actually follow through with what God had called them to do, which was to push the other people out of the land and take it for themselves. And now we see David actually fulfilling that, bringing the people back to their root purpose and cause, and expanding the kingdom to where God had initially told them they should be. Now, Roach, would I consider God to be a vengeful or forgiving God? Here's how I'll answer that. Vengeful and forgiving, I wouldn't necessarily categorize those as the opposites that I would use. The opposites I would use would be just or forgiving. So in order for there to be forgiveness, there has to be essentially without certain payment, there would be a lack of justice, is my perspective, right? And so this is why we would have such a problem if God took somebody like, I don't know, Genghis Khan or Kim Jong-un or some of these dictators, Adolf Hitler, like you name the person. We want a God who is just, who brings justice to people, to where we know that we can have hope that at some point they are going to receive justice for the actions that they've taken against people around them. We see this with criminals as well, right? Like we would not have a good justice system. People would not be happy with a God who is not just, that there is no hope that people who have done wrong will be punished for it, right? We want to see that happen. And anyone who says they don't is lying. They absolutely do. Right? If your mother dies to a drunk driver, you want to see justice brought upon that person. There has to be some sort of repayment made for the sake of having justice in that. Soldier of Grace, thanks for following, man. I appreciate you. So this is where my mind goes with this: is God a just God or a forgiving God? Because while there is elements of there's Psalms that say, "Vengeance is mine," declares the Lord, "I will repay." And so I'm not saying that vengeance is not a thing that God exercises, but my opinion is that it is his justice that brings about. Okay. That was terrible. That roll was bad. I'm stuck. I can't move. Okay. I couldn't move. It was done. So my perspective is that we want a God who is merciful and forgiving to us, and brings justice upon the people who are our enemies. That's what we actually want. And so this is where the story of the gospel is so powerful and beautiful, is the concept that God is perfectly just, right? When you talk about vengeance is his. Maria, thank you for following. Vengeance is his, justice is his. He does hold to perfect justice. Everything that we have done that is against what he has called us to do, we owe payment for, right? And the payment of our sin is death. We're made in his image. We are given authority over this earth. When we fail that image, when we fall short of it, the outcome of that is that we've rejected the breath that God has given us. We have chosen to be a God unto ourselves, and our what we deserve is actually death, right? And we want there to be a justice system like this. We do. We may not agree with the way that God has laid out sin, and that's okay. That's okay. Like we have issues with that. I understand it. But we do want a just God. We want a God who does bring vengeance upon evil. And so I would say that God is perfectly just and perfectly forgiving. And the only reason that I say that is because rather than God just saying, like every other religion does, which says, yeah, God will just forgive you if you just... There's another spot. I need to pay attention. This is... I have to go back up. There's other religions that say, yeah, God just forgives you if you outpace your bad deeds with good deeds. God will just forgive your bad. And that is not justice. That is not bringing justice upon people who deserve to have justice brought upon them. But what he did instead is he loved us enough that he sent his son to take the justice that we deserved, right? Take that upon himself, and he took that death for us. And so putting our faith in Jesus is not like, hey, believe in me or go to hell and die. It is, you're already dead. You're already spiritually dead, and in essence, more than that. But when we place our faith in Jesus, it is us saying, hey, I no longer want to bear, like, I am not good enough. I cannot become what God has called me to be. And so I accept this forgiveness through the weapon art on that axe. Is great. Yeah, I like it a lot. Hello, Mealgia. Welcome in. Is this poison? No. Okay. He has such good poise. It's crazy. Nope, I missed. Okay. All right. Well. CEO, thanks for following. That's my answer there. I don't know if that's a good answer. I think in the Old Testament, a lot of people perceive God to be a vengeful God. I actually perceive the exact opposite. There are so many things that are done throughout the Old Testament that God just seemingly looks past and does not hold against these people, even though they should have gotten repayment for it. And so there is this holding over of the justice that God would bring about in order for the fulfillment of Christ to come. I don't know what this... Thanks, Grump. I appreciate that, man. All right, let's rock down here. Hold on. We're running. Excuse me. Okay, here's the next part I gotta keep reading. Yeah, man, absolutely. I like this approach better than the other we were down here. So, he defeats the Moabites. David also defeated Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, as he went to restore his power at the river Euphrates. We read that. And David took from him 1,700 horsemen, 20,000 foot soldiers. And David hamstrung all the chariot horses, but left enough for 100 chariots. This is like a very, very key line here that I think can be swept over and not fully understood what the purpose or meaning of it is. Hold on. So he goes and essentially captures 1,700 chariots, is seemingly what it's saying. It's like, hey, there's 1,700 horsemen, 20,000 foot soldiers. He hamstrings the chariots, though, and does not take them. This is a direct hold in Deuteronomy 17 to what God has called him to do. So we see his failure in chapter 5 pointing to, hey, there's going to be problems that are coming in the future, which is him taking more wives and concubines. But in Deuteronomy, it says that, hey, when you come to the land that the Lord your God has given you and you possess it and dwell in it, and then say, I will set a king over me like the other nations around you. Again, God preemptively perceiving they are going to ask for a king like the other nations. You may indeed set a king over you, whom the Lord your God will choose. One from among your brothers you shall set as king over you. You may not put a foreigner over you that is not your brother. Only he must not acquire many horses for himself, or cause the people to return to Egypt in order to acquire many horses, since the Lord has said to you, you shall never return that way again. So the majority of horses come from Egypt. But what's interesting here is even when he is attacking this group that has chariots and horses, they're not going anywhere to actually redeem these. David holds to this command from God and does not keep these for him. It would have made perfect sense, right? Horses at this time were like tanks. This was a massive, massive advantage to the people in battle. But God had called them and said, hey, listen, I want you to trust in me. I don't want you to be trusting in your own power and your own strength. I don't want you to take many horses and chariots for yourself. I want you to trust in the strength that I'm going to give you, and I am going to give you this land. And so we see David, even when he has the opportunity to take these, he does not take them, right? He holds to this. The sad part is the line directly after this like whole horse command is, and he shall not acquire many wives for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor shall he acquire for himself excessive silver or gold. So we see this kind of sandwiched command. So we see don't acquire horses, and then he says don't acquire many wives, which David does acquire many, many wives. It is a huge part of his downfall and causes the majority of the issues throughout 2 Samuel. But then it closes with, nor shall he acquire for himself excessive gold and silver. And it says more there. We don't need to go into that at this point because it doesn't directly tie to this. But the next section here is very, very important because it directly ties to him attempting to hold to what God has called him both to do and not to do when it comes to taking the authority that God has given over them. And so it goes, the next line is, David put, oh, hold on, I think I went a little too far. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, son of Zobah, David struck down 22,000 men of the Syrians. Then David put garrisons in Aram of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David and brought tribute. So we're seeing a total shift of the authority of the people of God. Is this going to work out? It is, but I can't break his stat. This is an awesome job done. This is serious, the greatest way I've seen this kind of work done. Well, thank you, the one not loved. I appreciate that. I'm going to die right here. Hold on. Ouch. One second. We'll get back to it. Good. It's not written. Oh my goodness, that was terrible. Good morning, Dave. Hope you have a great day, man. Hey, the one I loved, I really do appreciate that encouragement, man. I really, really do. So David struck down 22,000 Assyrians. He set up the garrisons in Damascus, and the Syrians become actual servants. So we see a total subduing of the Philistines, the Syrians as well. And then it says this. So the Lord gave David, this is a repeated line over and over again. The Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. So it is the Lord that is bringing this about. It is a constant reminder that this is not David's strength that's bringing this. It's the fact that David is attempting to serve God and honor him. And in return, the Lord is actually blessing everything that he goes out and does. He is attempting to not take what God has told him not to take, to hold to what it, and we see that even more here in just a second. Because it says David took shields of gold. David took the shields of gold that were carried by the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. We see later that these are set up in the, I believe this is true. I want to confirm this. But I'm pretty sure we see later that he's actually puts these within the temple as like a tribute to the battles that God has won. So he's not holding them for himself. He is honoring the Lord with them, bringing these back, not gaining it as his own wealth, which is, again, what God called him not to do. So he takes those shields, brings them back to Jerusalem. And then Betah and Berothai, the cities of Hadadezer, King David took very much bronze. King David took very much bronze. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated the whole army of oh man, I didn't pull it back up. Can you fall in that hole? Thank you. That's good. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated the whole army of Hadadezer, Toi sent his son Joram to King David to ask about his health and to bless him because he had fought against Hadadezer and defeated him, for Hadadezer had often been at war with Toi. So we see here that even the blessing of God's battles being won brings about peace from other neighboring cities, other neighboring towns, and other neighboring kingships, which David does not have just a bloodthirst to go and wipe everybody out. He's more than happy to make agreements with people who are willing to make them with him. Okay. There we go. Can I just squeeze past these guys? Does this affect my manhood if I don't actually go and kill them? Let's go this way. What is this? Oh no. Oh, Hunter's not even here. I think this is where he wanted me to go fight. So he asked about his health. Oh, it looks disgusting.
You ignorant slaves. Finally taken.
And Joram brought with him articles of silver. This is the son of Toi. Silver, of gold, and of bronze. These also, right? So it's pointing back to, hey, he did not keep the shields for himself. Who is this guy? He didn't keep the shields for himself. He dedicated those to the Lord. These also King David dedicated to the Lord together with the silver and gold he dedicated from all the nations he subdued. So he is not keeping them for himself. He's not building up his own wealth, but rather setting it before the Lord and saying, hey, this is your victory. I'm holding to this. A direct contrast from what Saul did all throughout his life, which he would go and anything that he would pillage, he would take. Even the things that God told him not to pillage, he would pillage for himself. I have no idea how this guy fights. Whoops. What is that baby? This reminds me of Bloodborne. The Consumed King. Okay, that was bad. I gotta figure out how this guy fights real quick. I don't do that much damage. Doesn't seem like he's weak to fire either. Is he holding an invisible baby, or is that just his arms all messed up? Oh. Okay, we did it. We're all right. Oh.
Dear little Ocelot, where have you gone? Are you hiding from me? Come out. Come out.
He seems like he's losing his mind. Oh, I thought that
You
was...
were born a child of dragons. What could you possibly fear? No. No.
Okay, I feel like I'm rolling through that.
My dear little Ocelot.
Okay, you can swing while he's winding up. It's all right. 1, 2. Missed. That's great. Okay. This doesn't do that much damage. Oh my goodness. Oh. He has very few moves. I think Osiris resists fire. Okay, gotcha. We need to switch. Oh, I couldn't roll. So he starts getting upset. Do you think he's weak to lightning? Seems like he's weak to lightning. Okay. Oh, I'm out of field. I don't know how that didn't hit. Hitting the head seems to work. I think we're going to have to fight him again. All dragons are weak to light. Okay, good. Okay. We'll try again. That's all right. So King David dedicates all that to the Lord. I'm playing the same game now. I just beat him, and now I'm in the dark version of the beginning. Oh, cool. Early in development, he was supposed to be holding a baby. Yeah, I can see why they cut that, Greasy. That makes sense. We're going to switch over to our big old massive club, and we'll put lightning on it. That sound good? Let's do that. I love Dark Souls 1. It's a fun game to play. Fun. Do you have Dragon Slayer Great Axe, or I don't know what SMTH is, Honky Kong, but welcome in, man. Yeah, I can see why people wouldn't want to see an actual baby be killed. All right. So King David dedicates it all to the Lord, and then it says that he dedicated everything from all the nations he subdued, from Edom, Moab, the Ammonites, the Philistines, Amalek, and from the spoils of Hadadezer, the son of Rahab, king of Zobah. And David made a name for himself when he returned from striking down 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. Something. Oh, okay. I'll just put it on. Light Town runs at a solid 9 FPS. It's literal pain. Oh, man. That does sound not super fun. We're running straight in. That's what we're going to do. I think I figured out his at least first phase moveset. Does he have 3 or just 2? Because the second phase started before he was at half health. So we'll have to see. Okay. Let's go down and try. All right. Then he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom, he put garrisons, and all the Edomites became David's servants. Hold on, I'm going back up. And the Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel, and David administered justice and equity to all his people. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the army, and Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was recorder. What game this? Malinois. This is Dark Souls 3. I have a fire claymore level 9. I'm looking for a titanite slab. You only get 1 claymore. You can't buy them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always get fearful about using any of my titanite slabs. All right, we're doing very similar damage. We'll be all right. Good. So now it goes toward mixing up the story to talking about David's government, which this is actually very, very important to the story because of the fact that it contrasts what Saul was doing. So Saul had a commander, right? But we don't hear almost anything about Saul's actual governing structure because he did not establish a solid governing structure in the way that David does in order to... I have not seen that attack yet. It doesn't do that much more damage. Also, I didn't apply anything to it, so that's probably part of the issue. Okay, well, I feel like I rolled through that.
Dear little Oslo, where have you gone? Are you hiding from me? Come out. Come out.
Man,
Don't
that
be afraid.
the small lightning stuff does
Born a
not
child of dragons. What could you
do much
possibly
damage,
fear?
or does not last very long.
Now, show yourself, Ocelot. My
Okay.
dear little Ocelot.
Hold on. Yeah, we can't hit more than once. This one. Gotta hit one time. Get out. Oh. Nope. Okay. His transitions don't take that long. Good, we're good. Oh, I'm missing everything. No. Second time joining, got my daughter with me today. Oh, nice, Tiff. Welcome in. Nope. Nope. Yeah, not a good move. Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible. Sorry, bro. I have to charge my phone. I'll watch you again because you're playing my favorite game. Have a great day. Hey, you too, man. Thanks for being here, Lazarus. Appreciate it. All right, so we're seeing the construction of his government. So he's putting up garrisons. He reigned over all Israel. He administered justice. Joab was over the army. Jehoshaphat, the son of Elihud, was the recorder. Zodak, the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, were priests, and Sariah was secretary, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were priests. Really, really interesting stuff. Gold pine resin again. Okay. You got it next round. Thanks. I appreciate the vote of confidence. We'll see if we've got it next round. It's going to be fun, though. So, what's cool here, we get this, like, beautiful kind of I don't know another word other than, like, vignette, but, like, a quick recap of the highlights of David's rule. Oh, I can just get straight on. Ouch. I'm heading down. Oh, my goodness. So they can just fall through the top of that ceiling. Love these games. I might do another playthrough myself. Have you played Elden Ring? Actually, we just got done completing Elden Ring and the DLC, which is why we're on DS3 now. So yes, I have played Elden Ring. It's very fun. We did a dexterity faith build. Thanks for following. See merit. All right. Hold on, I got to see if any of my notes I didn't actually cover. One thing, man, this chapter, buff up with the big pine resin before the fight begins, then buff during the phase transition. Okay, cool. Try that. That happens like every so often. So scary sounding, this little cubes. Also very intrusive to do versus all kind of bodies. I think so. Big pine resin. We're buffed. It was a terrible roll on that part. Okay, we're rotating.
Dear little Ocelot, where have you gone? Are you hiding from
Ooh,
me?
that actually...
Come out. Come out.
Can you come off that?
Don't be afraid.
Come here.
Born a child of
Ouch.
dragons.
The timing is very odd.
No.
Okay. Oh, I rolled the wrong way.
Ocelot.
good. Oh my goodness, I'm an idiot. Alright, we still survived. At least doing it again. Okay, good. Okay, he's doing it again. I got distracted trying to look at chat. That was a mistake. Okay, he's doing it again. Ran out mid-fight. My bad. Oh, and I still took the damage. Okay, he's doing it again. He really enjoys that attack. Can you come over here? Hey, Mrs. Bull. Welcome in. Here's take a quick drink. I already ran out of my cool pine resin. Okay, Nope, missed. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna move over here. We're gonna just waste all of our pine resin. Okay, that was okay. He's doing it again. Is it death right? Oh, I'm an idiot. You're right. It's very similar to Death Blight there. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Okay. Get away from him. Okay, good, good, good. I'm an idiot. I still can't. I don't ever switch back to my heal. I'm such a dummy. The other thing here is the repeated victory phrase of it emphasizes God over and over and over again. This is the Lord's victory. The narrator is calling attention to it. David is calling attention to it with what he does with the spoils of his victory. And it's beautiful. It's lovely. And it really is pointing to the highlight before we're about to just totally derail here in the next coming chapters. Because once again, going back to David's ascent to kingship chapter 5, the point being made here is that while David is doing his best to serve the Lord, he is this like shadow of a fulfillment of the promised king that's going to lead his people to victory and to peace. There is still this element, right? There's this pointing to in that chapter. It's all this beautiful chapter of he becomes king. All of Israel supports him. They're under him, under his authority. And then it just throws this kind of little line in there about how, and he took for himself more wives, more concubines. Here's his sons, and we're going to see the outcome of the sin that he's taken and the fact that he is not the true fulfillment of God's promise, but that there's still a better king to come. And so what we're seeing now is this beautiful kind of like vignette of all of these battles, all of these fights that point to the fact that God is blessing this. It is a shadow fulfillment of the coming of the true king in the future. And so we'll be taking this kind of beautiful picture that we have. God makes his covenant with David. He now provides David all of this victory over all of his enemies. And we see the growth of this before we start to see the cracks in the foundation of David's actual kingship and what it means for him. Hockey Kong, thank you for sharing the live, man. I appreciate it. Beautiful stuff. It's cool. Key points that I took out of this. 1, victory comes from God, not from human strength. David succeeds because God established him, and he constantly succeeds because that was awful. He continues to point the success that he has back to God, who's the one giving it to him, which is why he continues in his success. Whereas Saul, in contrast, throughout his life, immediately takes the success that God gives him and allows that to build out his pride and cause him to stray away. Can I buy more pine? Should go see if we can do that. We never went to the dungeon either. 2, blessing should lead us to worship, not pride. That goes hand in hand with what we just discussed. Hold on. Actually, let's see if we can buy it first before I just go in. We can. She has 0 of them. She has 0 gold pine resin. That's too bad.
Ashen 1.
Can I imbue this with lightning?
Just good, this wasn't he?
Raw gem do. Is raw good for straight strength weapons, or is that not a thing? Raw gem removes scaling. Oh, okay. I don't. Amen. Raw is badly. This is what we need.
Pretty big.
Nope. Actually, I could see if you could get another. I would see if you could get another weapon. Like what? I have a bunch of weapons. Is he weak to ice? Dragon Slayer Great Axe. Do I have to kill the Did you beat Dragon Slayer? No, I did not. That's my issue. I need to beat him first. I could go and do that. Hunter's not here to yell at me. Third, God's promises begin producing visible fruit. This in our own life. There are other weapons. Let me know what they are, Honky Kong. I'm going to keep reading this while I'm going through it because I got to get ready for work pretty soon. This is something we see in David's life through what God has done with his covenant to him. Our covenant through Jesus Christ is different, but it still produces visible fruit. It may not be that we are going out and actively battling for authority over a land that God has promised, but we're battling for spiritual land. And so we should be showcasing I think it was here. So we should be showcasing the same level of fruit in what the fruit of the Spirit is, right? Love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and gentleness and faithfulness and self-control. People who are of God produce fruit in the covenant that God has shown them. And we see that in David here. And we can see it in our own lives as well. And if that is missing, right, call upon the Lord. Beautiful. You let me know what we need to fight with, and then we'll try it that way. And then the other point that I wrote down is like healthy leadership requires both strength and justice for us to be true leaders. Finding the line between where we are strong, where we are righteous, where we are forgiving, and holding to those things. David had a very, very clear hold on the morality that he had and what his line was. We see that throughout the entire book, right? When Ishbosheth is killed by his two servants and David kills them. Oh my goodness. David kills them for killing an innocent man, quote unquote, even though if Ishbosheth was not the rightful owner of the kingship, he wasn't the line, and David considered him to be innocent. His one failure is the fact that he takes so many wives, which is where he is not holding to God's call. Life application points. Stay dependent on God even during our success. That's huge. Oftentimes we'll be crying out and praying for God to do something. And then as soon as God does it, we have a very great tendency to gain like spirit amnesia and forget about the fact of who brought us to where we are and the fact that the only person keeping us there is God himself in that blessing. So remembering that and letting that bring us back to worship of him and gratitude, which is why we open up every day here with gratitude. 2 is dedicate our blessing back to God. The understanding that God's blessings are not solely for our benefit. It's a test of our heart as well. Are we giving back to God? Are we generous? Are we kind? Are we good? Are we taking what God has given us and using it for his glory? And 3, lead with integrity, not just competence. We can be very good leaders and be terrible leaders because of the sake of our own pride getting in the way. Hold on. Nope. There's no one to call. I thought thought there might be somebody to call it out. Not today, boys. Okay, he's spamming out there again. Heavenly Brother, we have a good day, man. Thanks for being here. Okay. I think we could beat this guy. I don't think it's impossible for us to beat it. Have you become deceived or really saved? Do you rain down fire or bring peace? Which are you? Garland, tell me more about that, Garrett.
Dear little Ocelot,
He does that exactly at the same time.
where have you gone? Are you hiding from me? Come out. Come out. Don't be afraid. You were born a child
Good, we're
of
good.
dragons. What could you possibly fear? Now, show yourself, Ocelot. My dear little Ocelot.
Nope. That was close, though. He scares me. I like how it totally disconnects from. Good, we're good. I gotta see how that jumping attack works. We're good. We're doing well. Hope I missed him. That was a pretty good round right there. Oh, his leg hit me. It's nice when he's like barely above me and his tail doesn't even swing. We're good, we're good. Okay. Oh, we're getting close. Oh, see, that's my concern. I don't know when he does that. I have no way to track it. And we have no heals, and we're at one health. We don't got this. Back up, back up. No, didn't work. You got to watch the trips? All right, I gotta go. We'll have to beat him tomorrow morning. The last couple things I wanted to say is remember that God's timing produces lasting fruit. I look at it's likely that David spent a minimum of 15 years on the run or in service to Saul, and the amount that did for his humility and his understanding of God's purpose and God's timing is massive. That's something that strikes me is we're seeing this culmination after we've just read about years and years and years of tribulation, of suffering, of undue punishment and despair, and that building the character that David is up to this point. And so remember that God's timing may not be on ours, but that at the end of all of that, we see lasting fruit from it. And all right, I got to go. I go get ready for work. I appreciate y'all being here. I'm very, very blessed to be a part of this, and I'm thankful for you guys. Honky Kong, it's good to see you, man. Spacing is so important for this, boss. You've almost got it. I think we're getting close. I think we'll get it tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we will beat Osiris, and then I guess after that we go down into the like dark version of the entrance. I'm not sure. I think if we go this way, we go to the dragon armor or whatever. But we'll take care of that as we go. Oh, that'd be awesome, Honky Kong. I would love it. All right, with that, y'all are loved. I am going to go and attempt to lead people well at work. In the meantime, keep Christ the center focus of your life. Stay in step with the Spirit. Wow, Honky Kong, thank you. A gold medal. Thank you so much, man. What a blessing. We're pulling together any of the gifts that we get that turn into any element of like donations or money. We're sending half of that to like Bible translation profits. So we'll do that. But I appreciate you, man. That's awesome. Bull, it's good to see you, dude. Mrs. Bull, thank you for being here. All right. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 5:30 a.m. my time, Mountain Time, and we'll go through 2 Samuel chapter 9. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's where we learn more about Mephibosheth. So I'm excited for that too, because that points to more of David's righteousness unto God, which is cool. All right. Love you. Bye. See you tomorrow.